The swastika, now globally infamous as a symbol of hate, this symbol was once a sacred and widely used symbol across human history. The term swastika comes from the Sanskrit word svastika, meaning well-being or a good fortune. In Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, it represented life, prosperity, and the eternal cycle of the universe, often symbolizing the sun or cosmic order. In East Asia, the swastika denoted eternity and the Buddha's heart. Ancient Greeks, Romans, Celts, and even Vikings used the symbol to convey power, fertility, or divine protection. Native American tribes, including the Navajo and Hopi, used it to represent harmony, the four directions, and the cycles of nature. However, in the early 20th century, European racial theorists misappropriated the symbol, falsely linking it to an imagined Aryan master race. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party then adopted it in 1920, tilting it 45 degrees and embedding it into their flag to represent their ideology of racial purity and Aryan dominance. Hitler explained in his book, Mein Kampf, the red symbolized the social idea. The white stood for nationalism. The black swastika represented the Aryan struggle and victory of the white race. Under the Nazi regime, the swastika became synonymous with Nazi terror, genocide, and World War II. The Nazi turned this symbol into a symbol of hate and is now banned in countries such as Germany and Austria. Despite its distorted meaning, the symbol is still used respectfully in Eastern religious contexts. The SS runes. This symbol came from the ancient Germanic Sowilo rune, which represented the sun, strength, and victory in early Norse and Germanic cultures. For centuries, this rune symbolized light, guidance, and divine power, often used in pagan rituals and inscriptions. In the early 20th century, German occultists like Guido von List reinterpreted these runes through a racial and mystical lens, promoting the idea of a pure Aryan heritage rooted in pre-Christian traditions. Influenced by this ideology, Heinrich Himmler, head of the Nazi SS, adopted these runes to give the SS an image of ancient mythical authority. In 1929, graphic designer and SS officer Walter Heck created the SS insignia by stylizing two Sowilo runes into the now infamous lightning bolt design, representing the Schutzstaffel, Hitler's elite paramilitary force. While originally a symbol of light, the SS runes came to embody terror, racial violence, and mass murder, as the SS became responsible for the Holocaust, war crimes, and genocidal policies of the Nazi regime. Today, the SS runes are banned in many countries, classified as a hate symbol, and continue to be misused by neo-Nazi groups. The Imperial eagle, also known as the Reichsadler in German. This symbol stretches back to ancient Rome, where the eagle symbolized the power, unity, and divine authority of the Roman Empire. The Roman eagle became a universal emblem of imperial strength as the Roman Empire gave way to the Holy Roman Empire. The eagle was retained and evolved into a double-headed eagle, representing dominion over both church and state, east and west. This symbol continued to be used through the centuries as a key symbol of monarchy, nationalism, and imperial rule in various European powers, particularly in German-speaking lands. In the 19th century, the German Empire adopted the Reichsadler as its national symbol, embodying German unity, heritage, and sovereignty. However, when Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power in 1933, they appropriated the eagle once again, but this time they altered it for propaganda purposes. The Nazi version, known as the Nazi eagle or Hoheitszeichen, depicted a more aggressive stylized eagle clutching a wreath encircling a swastika, signifying the fusion of national power with Nazi ideology. The Nazis used the eagle extensively on uniforms, flags, buildings, and official documents to convey strength and dominance. This symbol became permanently linked to the regime's crimes, including the Holocaust and World War II. The Black Sun, or the Schwarze Sonne in German, is a cryptic symbol made up of 12 radial runes, resembling a sunwheel or swastika-like pattern. Its design is rooted in ancient pagan and occult traditions, particularly those associated with Germanic and Norse mythology, where sunwheels and solar symbols often stood for eternity and divine power. Though there is no historical record of the Black Sun as a named symbol in ancient times, it draws heavily on sun worship and esoteric rune systems like those found in the Armanen runes. The symbol itself gained prominence during the Nazi era through the interests of Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, who was deeply involved in Germanic mysticism and esoteric ideologies. Himmler commissioned the renovation of Wewelsburg Castle. Inside the center of the castle, a large black sun mosaic was embedded into the marble floor. Although the exact meaning was never officially explained, the SS likely saw the symbol as a representation of the eternal cycle of life and death, Aryan rebirth, or even a magical source of Nazi power. It never became an official Nazi emblem like the swastika or the SS runes, but was clearly used to legitimize Nazi mysticism and racial doctrine with pseudo-ancient roots. The Star of David. This is one of the most recognizable symbols of Judaism and Jewish identity, composed of two overlaid equilateral triangles forming a six-pointed star. This symbol first appeared in early Mesopotamian, Indian and Islamic cultures, and was often used for decoration or in mysticism. However, by the Middle Ages, Jewish communities in Europe began to use the Star of David as a symbol on synagogues, manuscripts and shields, viewing it as a sign of divine protection. By the 17th century, the Star of David had become a widespread symbol among Jewish communities. With the Nazi hatred towards Jews, they twisted into a tool of humiliation, dehumanization and segregation. Under Adolf Hitler, the Nazis forced Jews across German-occupied territories to wear the yellow Star of David as a badge, typically with the word Jude, a German translation for Jew, inscribed in the center. This policy started in Poland and expanded throughout Nazi-controlled Europe and was meant to visibly mark and isolate Jews from the rest of the population. The badge made Jews targets for discrimination, harassment and violence. The Nazis attempted to strip Jews of their dignity and identity by making the Star of David a targeted emblem of hate. The use of the yellow star eventually became a powerful symbol of resistance, remembrance and resilience in the face of genocide. After the Holocaust, the Star of David took on even deeper meaning as a symbol of mourning, survival and pride, prominently featured on the flag of the State of Israel established in 1948. The Wolfsangel, meaning wolf's hook in German, is an ancient symbol with roots in medieval Europe, particularly in Germanic folklore and heraldry. It represented the metal hook trap used by hunters to catch wolves. It also had mystical associations. Some saw it as a runic symbol connected to Germanic mythology or linked to the concept of liberation and the warrior spirit. However, during the 20th century, the Wolfsangel was co-opted by the Nazi regime. The Nazis used the Wolfsangel in various forms, including as insignia for several Waffen-SS divisions, such as the 2nd SS Panzer Division. It also appeared in the logos of Hitler Youth and other paramilitary groups, symbolizing militant nationalism and the Nazi ideal of ruthless strength and ethnic purity. The Wolfsangel is now recognized as a hate symbol and is widely used by neo-Nazis and white supremacist groups across Europe and the US. The oak leaves and acorns. These are ancient and powerful symbols that have long represented strength, endurance, honor, and heroism. In Greek and Roman mythology, the oak tree was sacred to Zeus and Jupiter, the kings of the gods, symbolizing divine authority, wisdom, and protection. In Celtic and Germanic traditions, the oak was revered as the king of trees, believed to be a bridge between heaven and earth and a source of sacred wisdom and courage. Oak leaves were often worn or carved into warrior gear to symbolize bravery and noble lineage, while the acorn, the seed of the oak, represented potential, rebirth, and the promise of future greatness. In German military history, especially during the 19th and early 20th centuries, oak leaves were commonly used as a decoration in medals and insignia, symbolizing valor and elite status. This tradition carried over into the Nazi era, where the oak leaf cluster became an important symbol in the Third Reich's military and ideological framework. SS officers, high-ranking Nazi officials, and Wehrmacht heroes wore insignias and uniforms adorned with stylized oak leaf motifs. Though oak leaves and acorns have a rich and honorable legacy in many cultures, the Nazi exploitation of the symbol corrupted it in modern contexts, especially when displayed alongside other Nazi insignia. The torch symbol? This is a symbol with deep and ancient roots across many civilizations, historically representing light, knowledge, life, truth, and guidance. In Greek mythology, the torch was associated with Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity, symbolizing the gift of enlightenment and progress. In Roman culture, it represented the light of civilization and liberty. Torches were often carried in ceremonies and festivals to honor gods, accompany rituals, or signify the triumph of light over darkness. In more modern history, the torch became a universal emblem of freedom and hope, most famously embodied by the Statue of Liberty, whose torch lights the way to liberty and justice for all. However, during the Nazi era, The torch was appropriated and distorted into a symbol of authoritarian power, racial purity, and nationalistic indoctrination. The symbol was heavily featured in Hitler Youth iconography, portraying the new generation as bearers of the flame of Nazi ideals, passing it forward into the future. Under the Nazi, the torch symbol became a symbol of manipulation and terror, especially when combined with swastikas or other Nazi insignia, the Thunderbolt and lightning symbols. These symbols have deep roots in ancient mythology and religious symbolism across multiple cultures. In Greek mythology, the Thunderbolt was the weapon of Zeus, king of the gods, symbolizing his supreme power and ability to strike down injustice or rebellion. Similarly, in Norse mythology, the god Thor wielded a hammer called Mjolnir that brought thunder and lightning, signifying protection, war, and strength. Across various cultures, including Hindu, Roman, and Slavic traditions, lightning was seen as a heavenly force, often associated with divine will and supernatural authority. These associations were later manipulated, twisted by the Nazi regime, particularly through the SS. The SS insignia, designed to resemble two stylized lightning bolts or thunderbolts, was created by SS graphic designer Walter Heck in 1929. By adopting the lightning bolt imagery, the Nazis aimed to create a modern symbol with ancient roots, connecting their fascist ideology to a mythologized past of Aryan power and divine strength. These bolts appeared on uniform colors, banners, and propaganda, becoming one of the most feared symbols of the Nazi regime. The sun wheel and the solar cross. These are among the oldest known symbols in human history, with deep roots in ancient religious, spiritual, and cultural traditions across Europe, Asia, and parts of America. Both symbols are connected to the sun, life cycles, and cosmic order, but they have also been co-opted and distorted by Nazi ideology and modern hate groups. The Nazis, obsessed with ancient Aryan symbolism, sought to link their ideology to pre-Christian Germanic and Indo-European tradition. They saw the sun wheel as a symbol of the supposed Aryan racial heritage, strength, and connection to an idealized ancient past. The Nazi regime used several variations of the sun wheel in SS emblems, propaganda, and insignia to suggest a mythical continuity of racial purity and power.